Hey there, Stampers. My name is Sherry Roth. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Alberta, Canada, and I'm here to share this adorable card with you today, featuring the Whale Done, it's called the Whale of a Time Suite from the annual catalog. This is a bit of a fun fold, so it kind of sits up like this. Let me flip it so that you guys can see. So it sits up like that. And I made this card because one of my team members just had twins. So I really wanted to make her a cute card to go along with her gift. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, first of all, I am using the Whale of a Time, I believe it's called, DSP. Now, I don't have much left. I've used so much of this patterned paper, but it's such a cute patterned paper. So one of the sides kind of has lots of fun patterns to it. This one actually coordinates with the whale punch. So there's that. There's a little seahorses, and there's some jellyfish. But then the back side of the papers, they're a little bit more kind of tone on tone, ombre. There are some patterns to it, but they're a little more toned down, a little easier to use. So it's nice to have that mix of styles of patterns in a paper pack. So we're going to use this. Oh, and this is another one of the patterns here with the cute little turtles on them. So it's nice to have that mix. And then also part of the collection is the Whale Done bundle. Now on the card, actually, yeah, I am using some of it. So I'm not using the whale punch. So it's almost like a whale builder. So it's got the whale, it's got the spray, and then some details for the whale as well. I am using the stamp set. So this particular one I made as a baby card. So welcome, you're kind of a big deal. But this particular one I'm going to make as a thank you card. So it's still going to be the same style of a card. It's just going to be a thank you card instead. And then there is an embossing folder that's called the Seabed embossing folder. All right, so if you love this suite, which, I mean, it is so adorable. I don't know how you couldn't. I do have a class in the mail currently going on, and I will link to that class in the description below so that you can check it out. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started. It's really, really cute. Okay, so the first thing that we need, actually, let me go over the measurements first. So I am using a Granny Apple card base. It measures 4 1/4 by 11, and we are going to score it a couple times, but I'll go through the rest of the measurements first. Then we've got a piece of Pacific Point that measures 4 inches by 5 1/4. Another piece of Pacific Point that measures 2 1/2 by 4. We've got a piece of Whisper White that measures 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. We've got 2 of the, I think this is called the stitched nested labels. These are the 2 largest sizes. So you'll need 2 of those, or one of each of those. And then we've got 2 pieces of patterned paper. This one measures 2 3/8 by 3 7/8, and this one measures 2 1/4 by 3 7/8. Now this one you could make 2 3/8 by 3 7/8 as well. You can make them both the same size. That just happens to be the size that I cut it down to. Okay, now we are going to bring in our paper trimmer so that we can do some scoring. So this paper trimmer actually has a scoring tool, but then also a cutting tool. So we're going to make sure we're using the scoring tool. And I'm going to score it at 2 3/4 and 5 1/2. So we're basically scoring it down the center, and then one of those panels we're scoring down the center again. Okay, so this is a really, really simple, fun fold to do. Now I'm just going to fold it down the middle, and then I'm going to fold it again. And it's as simple as that. That's going to be your fold, just like that. And then it folds flat and fits into a regular size envelope. All right. So now we're going to start to layer our pieces. So we are going to attach the white to the Pacific Point. Here's my adhesive. So, and it's going to give us just a very, very narrow border. Now I just refilled this. It's the first time refilling it, so let's just make sure. Oh, there we go. Okay. So this is our seal adhesive. I love this adhesive. So that's going to go down the middle here with just a 1/16 of an inch border all the way around. So it's really, really narrow. And then this piece is going to go down at the bottom, and it's the same width as the white. So just like that. And then I'm going to take a piece of baker's twine. Now we don't carry baker's twine anymore. I'm so sad about that. You can use linen thread if you'd like, or if you want something that is more like this, you can use embroidery thread as well. It gives you a very similar look. So I'm wrapping it around, and then I'm just going to tie a bow. And you'll notice that I keep it on the spool so that I don't waste any, especially since we can't buy it anymore. I gotta watch that. Okay. So I'll trim the ends. So see, by keeping it on the spool, that's all the waste that I've used. So that's a little tip for you. Always keep your thread or your ribbon on your spool if you can tie it. Okay, so this is going to go on the inside of the card. Now, I did stamp "You're Kind of a Big Deal" on this one because I wanted to personalize it. I was actually thinking you're of adding in the word both. You're both kind of a big deal, but I think "You're Kind of a Big Deal" can relate to both of them as well. Anyway, so I just thought I'd leave it like this. But this particular one, it's a little bit darker. I could stamp it with Versamark and emboss with white if I wanted, or I could probably use a black and like Memento black, and it would show up okay. But because I'm just making it a thank you card, I don't think it needs anything on it. So I'm just going to leave that off. On my sample, the baby card or the welcome card, I did stamp that in Pacific Point, and I used, because this was an ombre sheet, so it was lighter at the top and it gradually got darker as it went down. So I used the lighter section for that one. Okay, so just a little tip for you. Okay, so that's the inside of the card. And now we'll decorate this panel. So I've got my smaller piece of Pacific Point and my other piece of patterned paper. This is going to go in again, just leaving about a 1/16 of an inch border all the way around. And a little bit of adhesive behind here. And then this is going to go on this panel right here. Just like that. And that baker's twine there will help it stand up. So it's kind of like an easel fold card. So by having that twine there, it helps it stand up when it's open. Okay, so now we've got our two panels here. And what I did was I wanted some like seaweed, so this kind of thing, but I didn't want it to be too busy. So I tried stamping it and it looked good, but it wasn't quite the look that I was going for. So what I did was I went to the smooth sailing dies, and there is this fabulous die, which was perfect for what I wanted. So I used that and I cut out several of these. I did 2 in Granny Apple Green and 1 in Shaded Spruce. So I chose the 2 greens that were in this DSP. So I cut them out, and now I'm just going to layer them. So what I did was I kind of fed this, kind of weaved it in a little bit, and I wanted different heights. Okay, I'll give you a closer look in a minute. It's a bit fussy here. There's so many different pieces. Okay, so I want different heights. I want this one to go up. So you can see I've got green in the front, the darker in the back, some in the front, darker in the back poking to the front, and it's varying heights. So now I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to use my multi-purpose glue to add adhesive to this. Just kind of making sure I don't need to get every leaf, but I definitely want to make sure I get a fair number. And we're going to add this to our smaller one. So I'm just going to add that on here just like this. And it's going to go past the edge at the bottom here. That's okay, I can trim that off. I'll just push that down, and then I've got this one here that I can go in and add onto the side. So some of this one will, more of this one will get trimmed off. Okay, you could even do, if you wanted to, you could even do another, let's do it down a little further, another darker green one to mix in the darker green there, but there we go. And then I'll flip this over, trim off this excess. Just like that. And yeah, they're sticking pretty well. I'm gonna move this guy. Since this one isn't attached anymore, I'm just gonna move it over a little bit. Actually, I might do it a little bit lower. There we go. Okay, and now I want to stamp my greeting. So it says thanks a ton, which is a really cute sentiment, especially if you're using the whale, but because I'm using turtles to accent my card, I don't think I want the word ton. So I am going to just use Memento ink and grab a piece of Scotch tape, and I'm just going to mask over top. So I just need a piece that's big enough to cover I want to make sure I'm not covering the word thanks, but I also want to make sure I get the top of that T. Okay, yep, that looks good. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink up the word thanks, and then this is the important part. You have to remember to remove your tape before you stamp down. Otherwise, you're going to end up with this nice big black blob. Okay, let's make sure this is straight. And now I've got the word thanks. The other thing you can do is you can use a black Stampin' Write marker, and that would work well as well. The only thing with that is I am not a huge fan of our Stampin' Write markers on our photopolymer stamps. They work wonderfully on our red rubber stamps, but I'm just not a fan on photopolymer. So this is my solution for that. Okay, so I'm just adding a few dimensionals to the back of this. This is going to get popped up onto this layer. This card has lots of dimension to it. It would likely cost extra if I was sending this in the mail. Okay, so this guy's gonna go right in the center here. I love the white layered on top of the white. Okay, and then I am going to grab a scrap piece of white cardstock. I just need a tiny little scrap, and there is this adorable seahorse in the stamp set. I'm going to stamp it with some pretty peacock. Look how cute that little seahorse is. It's adorable. And then I will fussy cut it so that I have this cute little thing right here. And then I've gone ahead, and that turtle patterned paper, I cut out a couple of those little turtles, and those are going to go on as well. So this guy's going to go on flat. I'm just going to use a couple mini glue dots. These are the mini glue dots that are left over from a past paper pumpkin kit. There's always so many extra in those kits. So we will just tuck them in behind here. Oops. There we go. And then these guys are going to get popped up using dimensionals, which my mini dimensionals seem to have grown some legs and walked away. So we will just trim some bits here. Okay, add some dimensionals behind this guy, and he's going to be swimming kind of in amongst the seaweed, and this guy's going to go up a little higher. Just like that. This guy, let's do him maybe like that. Let's see. We're going to take the dimensional off of his head here, because I think his head's going to hang off the edge. There we go. That's cute. Okay, and then we got a couple more things to do. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this to this. But one thing I want to be sure of is I don't want to add adhesive all over the back, because then you will only be able to open the card like this. You won't be able to have it stand up like that, which is the fun part of this card. So I'm, again, actually, this one I think I'm going to put flat, but I'm only going to add adhesive along the bottom portion. And I'm going to be quite generous with my adhesive. Normally I say when you've got a good adhesive, less is best, but because this is a little bit more of an interactive card, you want to make sure that it really holds up. Okay, so see, by putting the adhesive just on that bottom portion, it allows that flap to fold in like that. So we have one last thing to do. I'm going to take the flowers for every season, and there are these beautiful clear gems inside of this, and I want to add 3 of them to my project. So I'm just going to add 3 little dots of glue where I want my gems. And then add my gems. So you can see the adhesive behind in the beginning because it's white adhesive, but it dries clear and then you won't be able to see it. So 2 of the larger ones and then 1 of the smaller one on here. And there we go, our card is done. So there it is standing up. Kind of hard to show you guys when if the camera is like that, but there's the first one, or the one that we just made, and then here is the other one. So we'll just put them side by side so you can see the difference. So basically just the greeting that changed on the outside of this one, and then on the inside I used a lighter, the top portion of this patterned paper, and then I stamped the greeting on the inside of that one. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, be sure to give me a thumbs up. And if you are not yet a subscriber, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. All right, and don't forget to check out the Whale of a Time class in the mail in the link below. All right, thanks so much for watching.